Hello, Retro Junkies. It's been a while, but like I said, I'm going to do more videos, and as the description says, um, we're going to learn how to FTP modded consoles. So I've been talking about modded consoles, how to mod. My friend Joe, and Joe, I hope you're watching this, um, wants to know how to mod FTP a console. My friend Joe wants to learn how to FTP a console, and I'm gonna make guides out there on how to mod certain consoles. I'm gonna get to it. That's one thing I'm gonna get to. It's more I've been playing video games, um, kind of laying back, figuring out how to configure. Mostly it was trying to figure out how to configure my handhelds, my 3DS, my PS Vita. I've been trying to figure out how to mod it so I can stream it to you guys. The PS Vita, I have a way of doing it now. Um, I have a previous video that shows how to do that through what they call PSTV. I don't know if it was clear enough. I said it PS television. It was a little device to make it so that you could put all your video games in and play it on the TV. I'm going to stream stuff off of that. Uh, it, it was very cumbersome. A lot of people didn't like it. The reason why is half the games were whitelisted, but I don't want to get into that. There was my previous video talked all about that, and then I streamed a little bit of 3DS. But the problem with that stream, it was in a little box, and I even learned today on a guide how there's like 3 or 4 different programs. I used one program before on another computer. I had to get a new computer, and I was learning how to stream on that. And the problem is I want to stream Ocarina of Time, and every time you ran the game, it wouldn't stream. I found out that Nintendo deliberately made it so that um, uh, you couldn't play that. They got rid of the internet connection, and you need an internet connection to stream. So I found a way around that, and I'm going to stream more of that because I've been playing that mostly on my 3DS when I'm not playing my PS4 and everything. And I think if I stream it, I'll get through it faster. So that is to come. More modding, more stuff is going to come. But today, it's FTP. So FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol. It is pretty much the only way in some consoles without spending more money on it to put homebrew and backups, all your content onto modded consoles. Every single modded console has it, whether it's a built-in server or you got to enable a homebrew to do that. Today, as you can see on the screen, I have my RGH 360 with a freestyle dash. And as you can see on the bottom left, there's an IP address. You can see in there it says 192.168.150.135. That is my local IP address. So this console is getting your IP automatically, and some people you can't do that. Some devices can't do it. The PS3 is not good for wireless. It has a wireless G. The first generation Xbox doesn't have Wi-Fi, so you can't really use it. You can FTP through Wi-Fi, but it's a little slower. What I would recommend doing, and this for you, Joe, is a wire and making a small network so you can FTP. And we're going to learn how to do that. There's 2 ways your devices, not just FTP, but HTTP, which is your internet. There's 2 ways that your devices sees an IP address. IP addresses are the most known thing, and we're going to go around into this, and I'm going to show you each individual IP, what you need to configure. But that's the most important thing, is IP addresses. So like I said, right now, 192, 168, 150, 135 on the bottom right, that is a dynamic. We're going to make that a static, and we're going to make it a network where your PC and the 360 is going to communicate with just one wire. And I'm gonna go through that right now with the 360. Then I'm gonna show how you do it through a modded Xbox, a modded PS3, and a modded Wii U. So let's go ahead. I gotta go hook this up right now, and I'll be back in about 2 minutes. Probably not even. So right now I'm hooking this wire. I'm gonna hook this end to the this end to the PC. I'm gonna hook it up to the PC, then the laptop or any PC that I'm streaming on. Hook it up here, and I'm gonna hook the other end to 360. Okay, so that end is hooked up to the 360. So with the 360, since this is a freestyle dash, you can't do this configuration on freestyle dash. So you got to go through to the original 360 menu, and the only way you do this is hold down the guide button for a second. This menu will come up. You go to settings, you go to system settings. It's going to ask you if you want to do this. Say yes. Now you have to go back into freestyle dash. I did kind of a cold setup with this before I recorded with you guys, and I was trying to troubleshoot because I wasn't. So on the we're gonna go on the PC side. We're configuring the 360 side, and then we're gonna go on the PC side. And I was trying to figure out the PC side. So on the PC, when we get there, you got to get a FTP client. I use a free client called FileZilla. FileZilla, it's free, it's easy to use, and I was going through this trying to figure out before I recorded with you, and it wasn't working. And I was doing all this troubleshooting trying to figure it out, and it turned out that I was still in this menu. If you're in this menu, the FTP server is not working on the 360. So here you have to configure your network settings here. So you'll see these two here, wired, wireless. We want to go wired. It'll say configure network. So as you can see, the IP address is automatic. I did that before this, and I was doing a cold setup on how to do this before I went live. And I was setting this all up. I set this up, said okay, was setting it up on the PC, making it static, which I'm going to show you in a second, and it wasn't working. So remember, if you're doing this on an RGH 360, go back to Freestyle Dash. I just want to put that out because I was sitting here for a good 15-20 minutes, and then it just dawned on me. But here we go. So it's automatic because it's DHCP. You want to go into manual. Now here is all your setups. Oh, I already have it set up, but we're gonna do it anyways. So it didn't clear out the configuration. So there's four settings you gotta know about. Since you have two devices, you're gonna have to have two IP addresses. One for the 360 and one for the device. Then you have your subnet. Now your subnet, it's easy. The subnet is you can name it anything you want. The subnet just makes it so that if you have this hooked up to a router or you are hooked up to a large network, the the subnet is made so the router knows how many hosts there are. So right now this is a Class C subnet. Um, so it tells a router that you can only have up to 254 hosts. If you want more than that, then you got to go Class B, and if you want more than that, you want to go Class A. But you can keep that at 255, 255, 255, and you're gonna keep that on the 360, and you're gonna keep that on the PC side. Every time you configure a static IP, you're always gonna have to configure a subnet, and most of the time, I got a little itch on my nose. Most of the time, it's just gonna be 255, 255, 255.0. You can name it others, and you might see if someone's put a static IP in, because this is kind of good for the real world too, especially if you're a system administrator. Hold on a second, I was pressing the button, I almost canceled this. It's good to know. And then the fourth IP is your gateway IP address, and this is both the 360 and the PC is going to have the same one. So, in layman's terms, I would say there's more to it, but for doing FTP, just know that the gateway IP address is kind of the translation between information between the Xbox and the PC. There's a little bit more to it. If you want to become a network administrator, and you're dealing with more networks, it's more considering routing tables too. But we're not going to go into that. I just want to explain that. For layman's, for a small network, just know that it's kind of the network IP. So it's kind of the IP address that's in between, that your device is constantly sending it to that IP address, and that device is sending it to that IP address, and then that IP is translating that kind of. But every device needs a gateway IP address. Your gateway IP address is usually your home router or a router that the network is connected to, or to the nearest router. You're gonna need to know that both the 360 and this device is gonna be it. I thought it was gonna delete the configuration. You already can see what IP address I'm gonna use. So for the gateway, I would give it the first known IP address. You could give it whatever I want, but I like to keep it simple. I just put it 1.1.1.1. And how you do this with the 360, you just hit A, a little button will come up, we'll back out, and you just put 1, gotta go all the way to this dot 1, go back to the dot, dot 1. And that'll be your gateway IP. I would keep the subnets the same. If there isn't a subnet masking, I even think you could just keep it 255.0.0.0. But if you want, just keep it 255.255.250.0. I think it's automatically always that. It's even if so, we don't have to change that. If it's not, just make it 255.255.255.0. So the console IP address. Since the gateway IP address is 1.1.1.1, make it the next one up. 1.1.1.2, and you do the same thing. I'm not going to do it. It's already in there, but make it 1.1.1.2. So now you're done with the 360 side. The PC side. Let's go to the PC side. Alright, so here's the PC side. I got hold on a second, I want to make sure. Yeah, okay, we're still connected. Alright, PC side. So, on the PC side, this is an FTP client. It's not going to work right now because we need to configure the IP address of the static IP address of the computer. We hooked up the cable to the PC and the 360. Now we got to configure the cable side. So on the bottom right here, right click and see Open Network and Interconnect Settings. So right here, right click and hit Open Network and Internet Settings. Click on that. You'll see here, and I'm hoping you're doing this on a Windows 10. If you're doing this on a Mac, look on how to do this on a Mac. I'm hoping Windows 10. If you're on a Windows 7, upgrade to Windows 10. You are any OS you're using before Windows 10, and you're connected to the internet. That's big problem. So Windows stopped supporting all OSs, and it only supports Windows 10 right now. What that means is that a hacker out there finds little what they call security breaches, and Windows updates that. Well, now they're not updating it, so as time goes on, the hackers are finding more security breach, and eventually they are going to find one where they might be able to get all your information. So I would update to Windows 10. Mac users, just look up how to put a static IP address on a Mac PC, but I'm going to do Windows 10. So hit Ethernet, go to the Ethernet, and right here, hit Change Adapter Options. And you'll see a bunch of, these are all my connection interfaces. This is my Ethernet. You'll see all different ones, but you should see one that's connected. Because if you connected, and then you can also test. So you can unplug this, and you should see it unplugged. Find out which one's yours. If you have multiple networks, plug it back in, and it should be plugged in. So now that I know that test, hit Properties, and go to Internet Protocol version IP4. Click on this and hit Properties. Oh man, I must not have saved it. Sorry, I was reconfiguring it. So this won't look like this. It'll be looking like this. Obtain IP, because your internet by default has it at dynamic. So you want to hit use the following IP address. So now, remember, the gateway is 1.1.1.1. The subnet match is 255.255.255.0. Those two are easy. Always remember, I said previously, gateway IP address is always going to be the same when you're communicating from your home network. It's always going to be that IP address, no matter if it's dynamic or static. And if you're creating a small network, whatever you configured it on the first device, you're going to have to configure it on the other device. If you have 8 devices, so if I had my own personal router here and I had 8 devices hooked up to it, all of those are going to be 1.1.1.1, or whichever IP address you give it. But I gave the 360 1.1.1.1, so I got to give the PC 1.1.1.1. The subnet mask, like I said, it's just identifying that IP address, how many hosts is going to be on the network. Easiest way is 255.255. That's a Class C. You can allow 254 hosts on this computer. So now, this is where it's different. So I gave the 360 1.1.1.2. I gave the gateway 1.1.1.1. So let's go the next step up. So this is going to be 1.1.1.3. Just make it easy. The DNS you don't have to worry about. DNS stands for Domain Name Server. So that is used if you wanted to give you won't even use it on a small network. If you're going out to the internet, what it is that people remember names. You don't remember numbers. You remember this because you're configuring it, but tell me the IP address of google.com. No, you remember the name, so that's what it is. Domain name server. So it puts an IP address. There's a big, I don't want to get it, but that's what the DNS does. We never have to worry about DNS on a small network. So you can just press OK. Everything is configured. Okay. So I already have this set up. The 360. Oh yeah. What I said before. So on the 360, let's go back to the 360 real quick. So on the 360, I don't have the FTP server working right now. I have to get back onto the custom firmware, the custom dashboard. So all I have to do is just hit guide and hit Y, and it'll load Freestyle Dash. So Freestyle Dash, remember that when you configure all this, you do that. Oh crap! Something happened. Okay, so if you see this IP address in the middle like that, that 169 is saying that my IP, I might not have saved the settings, so we're gonna have to go back and actually do this all over again because I don't think I clicked OK on So if you go back to the video, you'll see on the bottom left it said 169. That's okay, and it's I hit the wrong button. So you see on the bottom left it says 169. That's meaning that it's set to DHCP. I think actually no, it's set to DHCP and the settings were not saved. I didn't save the settings, so it can't find an IP address, and that's what that says. So even on a PC, if you ever are configuring it and you get that 169.254, that means that it's trying to find an IP address and it's not connecting to the DHCP server. Okay, so we gotta go back, and I'm pretty sure I didn't press OK with the configurations. And yes, so it was trying to give it a IP address. Okay, so So you had to keep it there. I would go back. Just waiting. And there you go. So now on the bottom left, you'll see 1.1.2. So the static IP is working now. So it's not on DHCP anymore. So now, we gotta go back to PC. Alright, going back to the PC. Now that it's all configured on the PC, we can use FileZilla. It's so easy to get this program. You can just Google it. Just Google FileZilla. It's a free program. You click on this. Okay, here, and I want to stress out this website as much as time. You want the client. You want the client. You do not want the server. No server. If you want to have it so that you communicate and move files from a PC, I would use Assign. But we're moving files from this PC to the 360. The 360 is the server. Okay? So install the client. It's free. You got nothing. It's easy process. Click on this and go through the menus, and you'll get to this. So I already have this all configured. So the Xbox, I forgot to say that. The Xbox has a password. And you can customize the password. You can find out the password. Let's go back. I was going to show you that, but I forgot. So you go to settings. Give me a second. I got to figure out where. I think it's in the plugins. Is it the general settings? No, that's not it. Give me 1 minute now. I'll tell you where the password is. There's so many stuff on here. System settings. Here it is. So here is where you can configure so it's in system settings, in Freestyle Dash, it's in setup, and settings, and system settings, security, and then this is where you can so the username's X, the password is whatever you want to make. I'm gonna make it Xbox. For some reason you need. Oh no, you know what? No, you for some reason you need to use a username and password. There's no. I think on the original Xbox you can get rid of it, but the 360 for some reason, at least on Freestyle Dash, I think there's like 3 other custom dashboards, and I think one of them maybe you will, but on Freestyle Dash, which is the one I have, you can't. You always need a username and password. So we have the username and password set up. So let's go back to the let's go back to the PC. So now that we have this, you want to put in your credentials for your Xbox. So your Xbox is 1.1.1.2. So this is your Xbox, what we gave it. Username's Xbox, passwords, username I put X, password I put Xbox. The port number. It's easy to remember. FTP is always 21. 21. So that is your, it's always going to be 21. That is unsecure FTP. You're fine with unsecure FTP if you're doing it on the local host. Yours should be fine. If you're gonna do anything on the WAN, wide area network, I would use TFTP. I can't think off the top of my head what the port number is on that. If you ever use TFTP, then you have to use that port number. But for regular FTP, you just use 21 and hit quick connect, and there you go. Okay, so on the left here is your Xbox hard drive right here. And this is Xbox One is where your hard drive is, and this is where all my files are. When you go to set this up, you can, so what you do is you create a name, create a directory, and then you name that directory. So I'm going to name it Games 2. Name it Games 2. I already have a Games folder. I would name it Games, but that's how you name it. And this will move that to the Xbox hard drive. So when you first start the Xbox, you ever configure this for the first time, you have an RGH Xbox, someone put Zia menu, or you learned it off Zia menu. All these folders won't there. You got to create it, and then you got to go back to settings, system settings. I think it's system settings. Oh my god. General settings. Content settings. I think it's, yeah. And manage game paths. And then you, these are my arcades, my emulators, and you change the paths. Then that will. Oh, I'm not showing you. I'm doing this and you're not even seeing it. There's a guy that does this. I'm just showing you the FTP. So this is all my backups. These are all my games. Take note of that. And then all you have to do is, if you ever have a 360, just use File Explorer and drag and drop. You just have to drag and drop. So you can do this and just drag and drop, and it'll. Let me give you something small so I can just hurry up and delete it. Alright, this is a 6 meg file, so this will just do it in a second. So I just drag and drop it. I think I just I put it on the previous file. So this is on the 360 now, and then I'm gonna delete it off the 360 because I don't need it. I just wanted to give you an example. So you just drag and drop. Again, I can actually delete this one folder. I don't know why anything on there. And there you go. That's how you FTP on. So real quick, I'll just prove it. Here's all my games. And let's go back to 360. Okay. So we're back on the 360. And if you remember all the games there, then those are all my games. And that's how I moved all these games to the 360 through FTP. And you do this with the PS3, you do this with the Xbox. So I'm going to go into it. So Freestyle Dash automatically has an FTP server on it. Once you have put Freestyle Dash on a modded RGH 360 or JTAG 360, it's already there. I think all the other three custom dash, or all three of the other custom dashboards have a FTP server built in. So you never have to configure that. Who should we go first? How about we go original Xbox? Original Xbox. Now, I like the original Xbox over the 360 because it doesn't have borders, and I can play. I know, and your 360 Xbox One can't play all the original Xbox games, and guess what? You can't emulate. I know there's an emulator out there now, but for the longest time you couldn't emulate original Xbox games. So I'm just keeping I'm gonna just keep my Xbox for now. Let me switch over to that. So this is my original Xbox. If you can find a wireless Xbox controller for cheap, good luck. This is my only one. Anytime I have friends come over, I get the wireless. They get the wired. And so these are all my Xbox games, and it's pretty much the same thing. I have a. If you look on the bottom right there, it says static, but it still has my own network. So my own network is 192.168.150, and then the Xbox IP address is last is 242. I do that for a reason. If I didn't get rid of that, since I'm connected to my home network, I can make that dynamic. So here is how you configure this. So here is where it is. This will say dynamic. You change it to static, and then this is where you can change all the Xbox controllers. Now, I'm not going to remove that. We already did it with the 360. You can easily do this with the original Xbox. Just take the cord that's hooked up to your PC. So this cord right here, just hook it up, and do the same thing here. So you just do the same thing here. Make this 1.1.1.2. Keep this, like I said, subnet mask is always going to be the same. 255, 255, 255, 0, and then make that 1.1.1.1. And you'll be able to connect to FileZilla. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to show you on FileZilla with that IP address, because this is connected through the Wi-Fi. So I'm not going to go through the wire. I'm not going to go through this wire. I'm going to go through the wireless because I have two separate connections on this PC. So let's go back to the PC. So remember those IP addresses. So I just got to remember 242. So that IP address we're going to remember. And then let's go to the PC side. Go to the, and then do I have? Okay, so I kept that username and password for my 360. Good, we went to the original 360 instead of the PS3. Now the PS3, you don't need a password. But the Xbox, I think I could delete that entirely. I don't need that with the original Xbox, but the 360 I do. So I configured this, the username and password to be the same. This is gonna be 421, but like I said, I'm gonna go through the wireless. I'm not gonna go through the wired. I didn't configure it to go through the wire. So that IP address, and I'm looking at the screen right now, but I remember on the top of my head, it's 192.168.150.242. Now, you're not going to have to do this. If you're going to go through the wire, just keep it 1.1.1.2, keep the IP subnet same, keep the gateway 1.1.1.1. If you're going to go through this wire, you're going to use that IP address I just want to show you that every modded console has an FTP server. So this is the FTP server of the original Xbox. I think it's, yeah, it's E. You go into E and then it's F. Okay. Remember it's F if you're gonna do an original Xbox. So that's F. And here's all my Xbox games. And same thing, drag and drop. Like once you know how to FTP, see every single modded console, it's the same. And PS3, it's just gonna be easier than that. Let's turn on my PS3. We don't even have to go to my PS3. Just turn on PS3. And it's gonna turn it on. I think my PS3, it tells me the IP address on the bottom here. So if you're gonna go through the wire, same thing as if you were to configure with the 360. You go to the network settings. Okay, I at least want to show you where you change the network settings on the PS3. But right now we're on this. So the PS3 doesn't have a password. So we can get rid of this password. 21 and the PS3's host name. But if you're going to configure the PS3 to 1.1, you could keep this the same. You can always keep this the same if you're going to go through the wire. If you're going to go through the wire, you can keep that the same. You configure your PS3 to be 1.1.1.2. The subnet mask, always the same. 255, 255, 255.0, and the gateway of your small wire network is always going to be the same, 1.1.1.1. So here, I know, but my PS3, I don't go through a wire. I don't want to go through a wire. I want to go through the router. But a lot of people can't go through a wired router, and the wireless on the PS3 stinks. I have this hooked up to a switch that is a LAN connection, which is a wired connection that connects to my router. So all my devices are connected to my router, and I can look through my local area network. I think I'm getting you guys confused, but just remember, if you're going to go through the wire, just keep it 1.1.1, 1.1.1.2, and 1.1.3. So your device is always going to be 1.1.1.2. Your computer is going to be 1.1.3, and your subnet masks on all of them are going to be the same. And then your gateway is always going to be 1.1.1.1. Always keep that. Let's connect to my PS3. Give it a second. For some reason, the PS3 is always slow. So then here's my PS3 hard drive, and you see a pattern. You always go to that game files, and then these are all the games on my PS3, and you just drag and drop, and that's how it is. Now we're gonna get into something. The Wii U. The Wii U. It's a different animal. The Wii U. First of all, I can't see my games like I could with all three of these. I still use the FTP on the Wii U, but I put my Wii U games onto an external hard drive, but Wii U games are encrypted, and the modders never made it so that you could encrypt it into legible things. So you can't drag and drop games. So what you have to do is you have to drag and drop the game onto the SD card. There is an FTP, and I said at the beginning, I might not get into the Wii U. It's a whole another animal to configure. One day I might get into. I'm gonna make a guide on the Wii U. But let's get to the PS3. So let's move to the PS3. How you click. And let's move this. Okay, so now we're on the PS3. So on the PS3, you go to network settings, you go to internet connection settings, and then just, okay, so this is my interconnect. I really don't want to do it. It's a pain in the butt every time, but you go into here and then you follow the things. It'll say wired, hit wire, hit manual, and then manually put all the IP address and ignore the DNS. You can keep that 0.0.0.0 as a first and 0.0.0.0 as a secondary and move on. And if it won't let you, I think you could just make them all. Well, you can't make them all ones because that's the gateway IP address. Make the first one all fours and the second one all eights. So 4.4.4.4, 8.8.8.8. Like I said, DNS you really don't have to worry about. But this is where you go to do it. I guess I'll show you it. So then you go into custom, go to wired, auto detect, manual, and then here's where you put all, this is what I'm talking about. I don't know why I have the primary as that. Then you hit that, you go automatic, and so let's go back, we can always go back. This is where you configure it. Here is the IP address, so it's going to be your device IP address. Your mounted console IP address is 1. You're going to put 1.1.1.2. Keep the subnet. As you can see, it's always a pattern. Every single, what has it though? All subnet masks have always been 255.255.0. Your default router, you're going to make that 1.1.1.1. And I said you can keep the DNS 0.0 or just make it 4.4.4.4. Secondary DNS 8.8.8.8. If it won't let you do it, if you get an error, just do it that way. It's not going to affect connecting to your wire. So, like I said, I'm not going to get into the Wii U. The Wii U is a different animal. First of all, it doesn't have a built-in FTP server, or you can't make a built-in FTP server like the PS3, the 360, and the Xbox. It is a homebrew you have to enable. Second is it doesn't work like all the other systems. You can't just drag and drop your games. What it is you drag and drop it onto the SD, and then there's a program that decrypts and encrypts that game onto the external hard drive. And I'm going to make a guide specifically for the Wii U and how to configure the Wii U, and also I'm going to make a guide on my project that you won't see. I'm still trying to figure out how to. I think I made a guide on it. It's kind of hard to explain, but I'm going to show you how once I kind of figure out and how to structure that and explain it where it's easy to know. Pretty much it is that I can turn on any game system. All these game systems are hooked up to a Raspberry Pi that I can remote into anywhere in the world. Turn these on. I have a PC that I can remote into, um, and download a game, move the game to these modded consoles, and then turn off them these modded consoles anywhere in the world. The whole reason to do this is if someone's talking about a game and it sounds awesome, and it's worked a few times. I've had friends that talk about games. We'll start talking about like a PS2 or an original Xbox game, and I even had one situation where someone was like, "I really wish I could play this original Xbox game. Um, my Xbox broke. I don't want to go buy another one." I'm like, "Well, what's the game?" I downloaded it right there. I said, "Let's go home. Let's go to my place." And he's just like, "How did you have that game?" And I explained to him, and he's like, "Yeah, you should put this on a channel or something, because a lot of people would want to know that." So those are gonna be future videos. But for right now, this was FTP. How to FTP on modded consoles. Hope that's informal. If there is any other, if you got stuck in anything and you have to go back to my videos and it's still not kind of clicking with you, just shout me a message on Retro Junkies on this page, on either on the page or on this video, and I'll explain further. So that is FTP in a nutshell. I hope that is informal. Wow, this is almost an hour long, but I really wanted to get into FTP and how to mod in every single console. Alright, next time I'm gonna have a little fun. I'm just gonna stream. I'm gonna stream more. I'm gonna stream Ocarina of Time on my 3DS, either on my 3DS or I'm gonna use an emulator called Citra. Still trying to figure that. I'm hoping my 3DS, because I like my 3DS more than the PC. You might not like it because I'm gonna be sitting here the whole time, but I'll talk and explain. But that's gonna be my next stream, and that's gonna be like an hour or two. But hope that helps with your FTPs and knowing how to transfer games to modded consoles. And as you can see, all modded consoles, they're the same. You might have to go to different spots to configure, but like I said, it's the same. I use 1.1.1.1. You can use 2.2.2. You can use 3.3.3. As long as you have it so that your device has the same three. It's the last number you always got. So if you're gonna name it 1.1.2.2.2, your IP address for your device has to be 2.2.2.3 or 2.2.2.4. But if you just to keep it simple and kind of understand it, just keep it 1.1.1. Keep it my IP address scheme. But yeah, you can go crazy if you wanna experiment a little bit. But remember, the gateway IP address and the subnet mask have to be the same on on both devices. Um, like you can change the device IP addresses. So instead of making your device IP address 2, you can make it 54, and then make or 50 and make your PC 51. It doesn't matter as long as the last IP of it is different. I hope this helps with your modding needs. Next time I'm gonna stream. Bye for now.